Hey guys, kinggath here with another patch for Sim Settlements. This is patch 3.1.6, which I'm calling Performance 101. So first off, I want to thank the Xbox testers and the optimization team. They've been doing a lot of work that has taught me a ton about how this game engine works, about what causes crashes, about which systems and Sim Settlements have the most impact on performance, and I've started to apply some of that knowledge. So the first thing that you're going to see that happens is after you load your game, within about 15 or 20 seconds, you're going to get a prompt asking you to select which version of Xbox you're on or what graphic settings you use on PC, which I'll show you here. So the performance wizard, after you answer this first question, will then offer to automatically configure a bunch of Sim Settlements options based on what your system can handle. So I highly recommend everybody answer yes please to this, and I'm going to go through right now and show you all what exactly gets changed. So the most obvious are the things under the performance options. So various things under here can all be changed. But after a lot of testing, we determined that there are a couple of other systems in Sim Settlements that can add to the load and maybe are just too much for original Xbox players or people who are on real low-end PCs. So some of these options might get turned off as well. The first up is Dynamic Soundscape, and that can be found here under the audio options. Next up is the cinematic mode. Now, if you ever found that you were crashing during the foundation build of a Rise of the Commonwealth city plan, this is probably your culprit. The cinematic mode, I'm not sure exactly what causes the crashes with it because it can vary wildly depending on your system. As I've said a lot of times on the forums and people are familiar with this, I have a brand new gaming machine that crashes every time I go into cinematic mode. But on my 2-year-old work computer, has no problem. So I have no idea what exactly causes it. But for some of you, you might find this is worth turning off if you're finding crashing during that. And for original Xbox players, it's almost a guarantee. So this is going to get turned off if that's what you answered. Next up is under immersion, visitors. So the actual benefit of visitors, aside from just making your settlement feel more lively, is that they increase the number of caps you gain from your commercial buildings. And that effect, that commercial gain, will still be applied if you have visitors turned off, but you then won't have the FPS and AI hits of having all these extra NPCs in your settlements if this is turned off. So this is one of the options that you might find turned off after that wizard is run. Next up is under usability, and that is auto-closing doors. So while that's a very convenient feature, it does add a little bit of hit to your scripting. So if you find you're hitting a lot of script lag, this is worth turning off. And then the last thing that might get turned off to save you a few frame rate points is the mailboxes, etc. option, which controls whether or not the mailboxes on residential plots appear, the sandwich boards on commercial, and things like that. Most of the plots have some sort of indicator that the plot is occupied, and this will hide those so that you don't have to deal with rendering those extra bits. All right, and now I want to go back and show something that you might have saw when I was in here running the wizard, and that's this new configuration tool section. So I moved the configuration wizard there. I also added the performance wizard, which you saw, and then I added one more thing called rebuild local data. So if you look through the patch notes, which everybody should, you should always read these patch notes. There's lots of changes, and this will prevent you from getting surprised. But a lot of them were bug fixes. We've had a lot of little irritating issues in some settlements that I cleaned up this patch. And what I realized is that a lot of those irritating issues had probably started causing some settlements to collect some bad data. So if you find that some of your numbers don't seem to match up, like your maintenance costs or your taxes don't match up, come in here and run this, and this could clear up a lot of those issues. And I'm going to leave this tool here, and I'm going to keep enhancing it over time. As I add more and more stuff to Sim Settlements and find new fixes, I will keep making sure that the rebuild local data can always correct any of those systems so that if you find there's an issue after a patch, you can be sure that your gameplay options and everything match up by running this. So I'm going to run this, and you'll get a little prompt after you close your Pip-Boy telling you that it's going to take a couple of minutes. It doesn't take anywhere near as long as the there it goes. Applying changes to performance options. Doesn't take anywhere near as long as something like refresh local plots. But you should just give it about a minute or so. I don't believe I have it confirming anything, but as soon as you run that, just give it a second. And you can basically confirm by checking any data you thought was wrong before, such as one of your reports or the maintenance costs, and seeing that they are up to date now and that they match what you would expect. So that should be all I can show you in this. One last thing I'll mention is that if you are an add-on maker who created a leaders pack, you're going to want to check the toolkit again, because there are 19 new leader traits that you can make use of. Most of them apply a totally new benefits to different types of features of sim settlements. So for example, before this patch, there was no way to alter commercial upgrade speed. There now are traits that affect that. So there are a few others like that affecting things that hadn't been affected prior to this. So I'm going to continue to expand the trait system in the future, but just going to add a few here and there. And I know there's been a lot of leader packs released, so some of you out there who have those might want to vary up your leaders a bit. Now you have that option. All right, guys, again, as always, please read the patch notes. Lots and lots of changes in this patch. Otherwise, take care and enjoy the mod.